Nice. Hey, how do we do that?
Hey guys out there, welcome. And I'm so glad you're here for this live stream part 4. We've been live streaming all week long. Andrey, welcome back for part 4 of the Avoidant Man live Q&A.
Yeah, this is going to be our last for this series. And if you guys want more, then let us know. And we might start doing those maybe like once a month or something.
That could be a fun thing. That could be a very fun thing. All right. Well, welcome in here. We're going to start taking questions immediately. Remember, members, that you get chat priority if you want to become a member. Should be down here. There's a button that says join. You get chat priority for the entire month. Thank you for helping us, and we want to support you right back. Edith, I see you. There's the green member name. Thank you. Can you give us more material about fearful avoidance? I think they're very more complicated than DAs. This is a good sign if they want to be just friends. 3-month intimacy, 2 years unconditional support. Yeah, so fearful avoidant, what we call disorganized style. Anxious and avoidant. Anxious on the inside, typically. Avoidant on the outside, typically. There's 2 different types, of course. There's the loud, disorganized. At 3 months of relationships, they usually start freaking out. They can't handle the intimacy. They can't handle the connection. Everything completely falls apart at 3 months, and they explode the relationship. You're like, yeah, isn't it wonderful how in love we are? And they're like, yes, I love you so much, as they're splashing gasoline around, and then they light a match, hit it, and jump out the window telling you how much they love you, but they just can't do this anymore. So very, very common for loud, disorganized to follow that pattern. Quiet, disorganized, of course. Avoidant on the outside, incredibly secretively anxious on the inside. They don't usually even notice that. They look disinterested to other people. They look more flat. They don't usually know what to do, so they lack communication skills. They lack relationship skills. There's a lot of pieces that are kind of missing.
A lot of times, shy but nice.
Shy but sweet.
Yeah, shy but sweet. Not like well-versed in social skills. They probably have some, like gaming. If it's a guy, it's probably some gaming, semi-addiction, if not full addiction. Maybe he's into books. Maybe he's into movies, something that's calm.
The women are like super monogamous for years, but usually to men who are more disorganized or men who have really chaotic lives or things like that. They tend to just sort of take it in stride and just accept it, and they roll with it. So very, very common for that to be the case. So quiet, disorganized. We did have a quiet, disorganized lady on this podcast, I think, that we interviewed, if I remember right, or we talked about one quite extensively. Quiet, disorganized is well, I'm not going to say one of the best attachment styles, because that would start favoritism in here, but they are very, very sweet and very, very kind, and they usually only come in when it's
So let's get a little bit more. Edith, if you want to share a little bit more about your circumstance, like what is the challenge that you guys are having? Is it commitment? Is it, something else? Let us know. We'll help you out.
Okay. Let's go through. I see. No big deal. Glad you're here. Catherine, Monica, welcome back. Monica, Valerie, Jamie, Matt. I'm glad you guys are here. Jamie, good to see you. Can you share more about quiet, disorganized female and DA relate? So she will pretty much accept everything in the world up to and including like ritual animal sacrifice on the front lawn, and just be like, oh, well, I can't judge. And she will never make any complaints or anything about anything in the world. So she will usually pull in men who will push on those boundaries and need a lot and take up a lot more space. And through the years, she eventually gets to a place where she feels more and more dissatisfied, more and more unhappy. And it gets to a place where she can't handle it anymore. Just a pure ethical avoidant man can sometimes make that turn, as you know. But more manipulative men or really disorganized men or personality disordered men who pair up with her, they'll just burn her out for years until she can't handle it anymore. All of that is fixable, especially if she's with an ethically avoidant man. She can kind of pull him along and guide him in a healthy, loving direction. It is possible, very much possible. I want to go back because No Big Deal popped in here immediately and put her question in first. My avoidant husband, 17 years, is dependent on me financially. Interesting thing for an avoidant man to do. He wants a divorce, seeking independence. Interesting. This seems to have started after a major health scare for him. How do I win him back? So he had a major health scare. You believe he's just purely avoidant, but he's financially dependent on you. Andrey, how common do you think it is for avoidant men to become financially dependent on somebody else? Purely avoidant.
Practically impossible. That really doesn't work with the whole entire of avoidance and self-fulfillment and self-reliance. I think probably you're dealing a little bit more with like a disorganized style, or if somebody is avoidant, maybe there's some crazy life circumstance. Like, tell us a little bit more, what is his background? What does he do? How is he dependent? And we can help you out.
Yeah, that's a little, there's something there. There's some sort of complicating factor there.
Look, Alyssa's online.
Alyssa,
Hello,
good
Alyssa.
to see you. My one of my certified attachment coaches. Thank you, Alyssa. Glad you're here. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Lisa, thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate you so much. If you have questions, drop them down there. You know that you have chat priority for the entire month. So thank you so much. What's a good question that jumps out of you here, Andrey?
Let's see. I like this one. It's
From
not only
from Catherine.
From Catherine. I think it's not only that he's an avoidant, but I think he just doesn't want anything to do with me. These videos have been so great. I think I'm fighting a battle that has already been lost. So let's talk about this real fast, guys.
Yeah.
Attachment is a way to zero in on intention and really isolate certain behaviors that are problematic, but only on the condition that the intention is actually good and pure, right? So if a person actually loves you and is not abusive to you and does not use you like a tool or a sex doll or a source of finance or whatever it is, but it's bad, but it's true.
It can be.
As long as they're actually interested in staying with you, attachment is going to be the fix. However, it's also the lens through which you guys can identify bad players, right? And if somebody is not willing to do the work, when you call out those behaviors and they actually tell you that this is how they are and they're not going to change, this is the litmus test to know that something's over. And unfortunately, most people with attachment challenges, they fall in love with somebody who is not necessarily good for them, but simply covers their gaps or their wounds. And when they learn about attachment, they have to leave, right? So when I was learning about attachment with my ex, like we were not compatible in our attachment styles. And there was a day when I'm just like, yep, it's over. And it's over from the perspective of like personal, scientific, spiritual, attraction. It's just over. And then you have to let it go and accept that this was a period of your life and it's now over. And you can now move on and change and heal and find somebody, and don't expect to find somebody in 3 months. If you're fixing your attachment, that's why our programs are 3 and 6 months to start, to give you those tools, but the practice takes years. So you will find a partner. It'll just take a while.
Yeah, it'll take a while. A lot of people in my coaching programs, they do find a partner, 3 to 6 months, and they start finding decent partners, and they can have better conversations. Ika, glad you're in here, and welcome. Lisa, here's your questions. Andrey, Lisa asks, when you share your heart with an avoidant man, he says nothing at all in response. What does that mean? What is happening in his mind? He did say he wanted to see me again. Okay, so here's some context. I read a letter to my former partner taking responsibility for my anxious attachment and apologizing for being overly emotional, that I understood the risks he must have felt moving forward. He was my partner for a year. He ended it when I asked about us moving in together. We've still been seeing each other for the past 3 months. I didn't blame him in the letter. I thanked him. Okay. So she shared a lot of emotion, says she took response. So it sounds like you guys broke up at a year. Okay, which is pretty common for avoidant people. They lose the dopamine at 5 to 7 months. It's dead. You start wanting to move in at 12 months. Usually the woman is feeling like she's ready for commitment, and he's feeling like there's no way on earth I'm committing. You push for a bit more, not unreasonable in any way, shape, or form, but to him, the relationship is already dead. And now the increased expectations are going up. So then you wrote a letter and read it to him, which is never really a good practice. I'm going to say most women try that approach. It's never really a good practice, but people tend to try to do it. That might have been where part of this went wrong. But you understood the risk. You didn't blame him. You thanked him. But you've been seeing each other now for the past 3 months. I'm curious if you guys are seeing each other officially, or if it has transitioned from relationship into situationship for the last 3 months. But Andrey, in that sort of a circumstance, what might an avoidant man be thinking?
Well, first of all, this is probably the number one mistake that women make with men, not even avoidant men in general. They think that there is a magic word or some combination of magic words that is going to unlock everything. That is, you just have to find the right words, and he is going to be emotional. He's going to be understanding. He's going to tell you how much he loves you. I'm going to have this big, beautiful explosion, like an orgasmic explosion of connection. That doesn't exist. There's no such key. It is nothing like that. because what you're doing is you're dealing with skills, right? So if you tell somebody something, if you tell an avoidant man, somebody especially who's less in tune with emotions, is focused more on the strategy side, if you tell him how you feel and he freezes, it's not because he doesn't care. He's just loading that information. He's processing, he's understanding, he's learning. Probably silence is the response you want, especially in the early stages. I think that's actually a great sign. I don't think it's a bad sign at all.
That's good.
Because he took it in and now he's learning how to manage it, but he's in his own way.
An avoidant man who has a response is not really processing the information. When he has no response at all, he is processing heavily, and that's why he's not responding. Silence is not bad.
And what's happening in his head is that he's now reflecting. He's actually listening internally, trying to figure out how that makes him feel. What does that mean? What should he say? And if you get mad at him on that point for being, well, I told you I love you. Why don't you tell me I love you back? You're actually going to ruin the magic. The magic is happening on the inside. What you need to do is you need to guide and enhance the magic, right? So if you see he's silent, add a little bit of like a physical touch, add a little bit of something that allows him to understand that you're giving him the space, right? Just even let it be and just let the moment hang and let him come to you. All of those are great strategies.
So Lisa, you've added more context. It's been 3 months of hiking and friendship, no sex, connecting. He's been texting you more than ever before now. You allowed him to be quiet and didn't push. That's awesome. If I have to guess, then what I'm thinking is he's probably watching you and learning. Most times when an avoidant man breaks up with a woman, especially an anxious woman, he assumes she's going to be a complete mess, that she's going to turn on him. She's going to attack him, basically, even if it's not angrily, but she'll just swarm him and then leap on him and try to cling to him. And when a woman doesn't, when a woman is reasonable and calm and says, you know what, I understand, you're right, I need to reflect on myself, I need to actually have some thoughts, and then begins doing that work, it actually confuses him. And it's the first time often for many avoidant men that a woman has had a healthy, reasonable response. Remember that a lot of avoidant men have those problems because of hyper emotional mothers that smothered them as a young man. So they don't have any understanding of a woman being emotionally reasonable. They don't have that experience. You doing that actually really confuses them. So what often will happen, they listen, they get really quiet, and they say, how could this be? And then they start trying to track that data. Then they start looking at you, expecting you to go backwards. When you start asking those questions too much on the inside and boiling over, he's waiting for that so that he can say, aha, I knew it. If I just waited long enough, she's going to go backwards and explode. But the more that you manage and the more that you cultivate that calm in yourself, the better this is. And then the healthier boundaries that you have, don't just jump at it. If you try to sleep with him or he tries to sleep with you, don't just jump at it. You have healthy boundaries, be regulated, be calm, and talk clearly about what you do and don't want. That's how you cultivate that growing trust. He's actually growing trust in you is most likely what's happening there.
So I want to add a little bit to this, right? So we want to make sure that relationships with avoidant men do not turn into sacrificial ones, self-sacrificial, where, you're saying, well, I'm going to invest into telling this man how much I love him, and he's never going to say this back. It's actually not an argument, discussion that my girlfriend and I had early on. And she said, I want to one day, I want you to feel exactly like I feel and to be able to express love as I express love. And I said, that is never going to happen. And she, had this like moment of just like absolute deep hurt. I go, exactly. And this is why, because the way that I express love and the way that you express love are two different things. And I'll give you an example. You know how like I come home and you like run up to me and you give me a big hug and you kind of lean on me and whatnot. Imagine if I did that to you. You get creeped out fast, right? Doesn't it matter? Oh my God, you're home. It's like, whoa, this is not good, right? How does a woman want to be loved? How does a man want to be loved? Those are two different things. So when you go and you tell an avoidant man, I love you, and he goes silent, and if your only way that he can compensate you for your effort is by telling you exactly and with great words and poetry that he loves you back, and that's the only currency you will accept back, you will never really lose. But if you're open to other ways of receiving love, pay attention. Maybe in the next day or next week, he's going to do something special. Maybe he'll spend some more time with you from, one of his other hobbies. He's going to take time away and spend it with you. Maybe he's going to bring you a gift. Maybe he's going to do something for you. So keep an eye on the whole system, not just one part of it. and look for signs across the board. He's going to ping you in other ways if he cares. Maybe he'll get more physical. Not today. Maybe it'll be on, Saturday or on Sunday. Maybe he's going to take you out on an extra nice date. Maybe he's going to bring you flowers. And if you start watching across the board, kind of having like a holistic perspective, you will have a much greater amount of satisfaction and eventually learn to love him in your way and let him love you in his way. That also works for you.
Lillian Talbot, we broke up multiple times. Now he's taking care of me after my friend told him that I am sick. He said he's there for me because I'll do the same for him. What does it mean? So avoidant men usually, they're made for chaotic, hurtful, like damaging times. That's one thing I hear quite often is like, when I was sick or hurt, all of a sudden he transformed into this incredible, caring, nurturing, helpful. Well, yeah, that's what avoidant attachment is for those times of crisis. They know exactly what to do. And that's not usually a manipulative tactic. It's usually just like, oh, you're broken. I know what to do now. I can help you. These are not invisible, weird emotions.
Like a save a puppy from a stream type of response.
Yeah, right. Like I will rescue the cat from the tree, kind of sort of thing. But
why? Because you're such a great person? No, because it was stuck.
It was stuck. That's what you do, right? So avoidant men usually will care for sick partners, injured partners. They don't usually abandon them. The manipulative ones will abandon you at that time, but the ethical ones will usually lock in and just be incredible. And this is where women usually reconnect with him through those crises, the difficult times. Like he was there in the clinch when it mattered. That's usually what I end up hearing a lot of. But what does it mean? Well, you guys need to track if you broke up multiple times. You need to figure out what the heck is breaking you guys up, what questions are freaking him out. I still love him. How do I get us back? So you're not back together. He's just caring for you as you're sick. And he's saying that you'll care for him when he's sick. It sounds like he's forming like a mutual survival arrangement.
Like a vasopressin arrangement.
Vasopressin arrangement, yeah. But not necessarily a romantic one.
Now, keep in mind, you might not be the only one he helps like that. And not to say that he might have somebody on the side. What I'm saying is he may have friends or family members or, I don't know, mentees.
Doesn't mean romantic interest
or whatever, who he's also coaching like that. I've actually gone through stages in my life where I kind of cycle through people in crises and they're in triage mode. Okay, so I don't know, Adam has a crisis right now. We're going to drop something else. We're going to go deal with Adam for like 3 days. Then something else happens and ditch Adam and go deal with somebody else. And that's not because we don't care. It's because we're actually trying to do the most good with the time and the energy that we have. And then, we're going to invest into people who are most in need. And then we're going to let them be while we go invest and help somebody else and help somebody else. Kind of like a doctor would be in an emergency department.
Yeah, a lot of women confuse that avoidant man helping them with romantic interests. And usually it's not. It's usually not romantic interest. Doesn't mean there is no romantic interest. It's just they're not synonymous. They're not tied in. DJoy, as a divorced person, Andrey, what do you think about the concept of being friends with exes? My husband and I are separated and he wants to be friends.
You have kids? So it all hinges on whether or not you guys have kids.
It all hinges on
kids. So let us know. I think Edith actually wrote out her story.
Edith.
Yeah.
Thank you, Edith. And thank you, Andrey, for pointing that out.
Of course.
That hyper alertness pays off. Edith, I know him 4 years. We got close slowly, long distance. I campaigned for him for 2 expeditions per 1 year. We had another expedition together when we got intimate. Now we don't talk.
Are you guys treasure hunters? I want to know.
That sounds
awesome. Cool.
I know it does. I think she's using specific words because I still have feelings, but I've withdrawn. I don't have the energy to keep up support for him. We didn't talk for the last month, the longest ever. Before this, we talked daily. I was there every time we needed. Now I'm in a difficult spot, looking for a job, feeling down, not so cheerful. Okay, so you guys were together once per year. You did get intimate and then stopped talking. Okay, so they worked up friendship, and then got intimate, and the talking tanked. And now she feels sad, and I have feelings, withdrawing. And then going through really difficult life circumstances. I will say this, guys, a lot of women are like, long distance relationships rarely work. And not because they are innately impossible to fix, but because most of the time in a relationship that's long distance, one of the people is in it because they don't want a close proximity relationship. The people who want a close proximity relationship get into a relationship and start tagging in, when can we be together? They put a timestamp on it. They put an exact end date on it. This is why I am so big on telling you guys, if you are in a long distance relationship, have an exact date and time you're getting together and be working toward it as a plan. The open-ended, indefinite, long distance relationships are a sign that at least one of you doesn't want a close proximity relationship, and it might be both of you. You might be unconsciously rejecting close proximity relationships and not realize it. If that's the case, you are a phone, you're a video game that they can turn on and off when they want the feelings, then they can turn you off and put you away. And that's what's going to happen, especially when your life gets difficult, especially after intimacy, when your expectations are going to go up. Even if they think your expectations will go up, but you actually won't go up, they think you will, they'll still pull away. It is a recipe for getting your heart broken. If you're going to do long distance, have an exact end date in mind and work toward it as a team. Otherwise, this will most likely happen.
Yeah. So one more thing on long distance relationships. Think about the process, right? So think about how this works, right? So imagine he's sitting there with a friend and he's talking and he's present. He's not talking to you. He's not looking at his phone. Imagine he's at work. Imagine he's elsewhere. Imagine he comes home. When he sits on his couch and he has nothing to do, he pulls up his phone and you're there next to Instagram, YouTube, a game, all of his other buddies, and you're down here. Right.
Which is why he's always too busy for a video call more than once every 6 months.
Exactly. Right. So if this is the pattern you guys have, again, it's just a question of what is the intent and where is he on where are you on his priority list? If you guys are in a circumstantial long distance relationship, he's away at work on deployment, you guys are somewhere like just not physically able to meet, then you guys have to take this as digital dating. Digital dating is not the same thing as a long distance relationship, meaning you guys have to have call time, video call time, preferably. You guys need to have schedules that are synced up. Hey, I'm at work. I'm going to text you 5:30. I get off work. I'm going to respond to all your messages then exclusively. So digital dating is what? Digital exclusivity, right? So this is what he's doing, nothing else. He's not on a video call with somebody else. He's not playing games while he's talking to you. He's not at the gym. That is truly exclusivity, because that's the only way that you guys are going to build that relationship to be exclusive in the future. If you guys do not have your boundaries together and you allow him to mix it, then how do you expect to be in a relationship? Like, what are you training?
Otherwise, you're just an AI girlfriend that he turns on and off. You just happen to be alive.
Yeah, occasionally comes by for sex, and that's it.
That's
right?
it.
It's like mail order girl. You don't want to be that.
No, you really don't. Most women are pouring their hearts into these long distance relationships and getting absolutely brokenhearted. Edith, he said, sex is ruining the friendship, and I accepted friendship because I'm secure in my feelings. I want him in my life. I have no pressure. I want him this. There's an age gap. He's younger. Sex, you guys got intimate once on a trip, and now he's saying it's ruining the friendship. Well, it wasn't ruining the friendship when he did it.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to be honest. In the vast majority of cases, older woman, younger man rarely works out. That's just how it works.
Just despite what society is saying right now, it doesn't typically work out.
We can say whatever we want, but ultimately it is not an equal relationship, because women mature faster than men biologically.
Yeah.
And men take a while to catch up. Plus, there's always a big component of the ego, right? So sometimes I've seen maybe in my life 2 exceptions to this rule, and I've known a lot of people, and it just rarely works out. And when it does work out, then it works out so smoothly that it's just self-evident.
Yeah.
It just happens.
It's very rare that it can work out. I've seen maybe 1 or 2 cases in my lifetime as well. I have a couple that I work with that's in that dynamic, and for them it can work. Mm-hmm. For most couples, it cannot.
But when it works, it really works.
When it works, it really works. It's just that the vast majority of younger men who are looking for that have such instability that they're connecting to almost like a mother figure, and then they start rebelling against her like a teenager.
Right? So sex is ruining the friendship. It's like, I really liked you, I trusted you, then you were kind of like an older sister, mom type of thing, and it's now weird for me because that's how I see you. To me, Edith, that's a lot of red flags. I'm just honestly going to say, if you guys have been going on like this for a long time, I have a trouble imagining what has to happen in order for you guys to reconcile and also figure out a way to move forward. It's not just about moving forward. You guys also have to make up for everything that has happened. That's not going to disappear. So that's a huge resource that I don't know if he's going to want to invest.
There's a debate going on back and forth in chat right now about men seem confused about menopause. One person says it desexualizes women to men when they go through menopause. I don't think menopause desexualizes like a wife or anything to her husband at all. I mean, if a dude is absolutely overwhelmingly obsessed with 21-year-old fertile girls, then yeah, I mean, that's a whole other dynamic. But
yeah, that's a disorder at this point.
that's totally different.
So men, as they get older, they tend to like in their category, unless they're objectifying women. Right?
Healthy, secure men.
Secure men. So basically,
within 5 years.
Yeah. So if a man is stuck in this kind of like juvenile masculinity, he's always going to look for the 20-year-olds, right? Because that is what is wired in his brain. Because the only thing he's connected to is the physical aspect of it, the sexual aspect. But from an intellectual standpoint, it's like, I'll be honest with you, when I'm 34, I hang out with a 22-year-old, just anybody, girl, boy, doesn't matter. I'm like, my brain rots. I cannot sustain the conversation. They live in their own world. I'm in my own world. I'm like, I can't imagine how somebody can be attracted, say at 35, 40, to somebody in his 20s in a healthy fashion. So either they're objectifying them for sex or there's something seriously wrong.
Yeah, when I look at, people always say like, oh, men want 18-year-old girls.
No, they don't.
I look at 18-year-old girls and I'm like, it looks like she probably like plays with ponies and digging in a sandbox. My wife will say, oh, there's this girl and she's, 18, 19. I'm like, I thought that girl was like 12. And my wife laughs. She's like, no, she's, 19. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No,
life
I can't even
experience,
imagine.
the intellectual component really matters.
No.
And as I get older, I imagine it's like, I'm not going to have that much interest in 30-year-olds when I'm 50.
No, my wife is 4.5 years younger than me. And that's as far as I can stretch. Like she's delightful. She's very intelligent. I could not imagine dating any even younger than her, because even with her, we still have some gaps.
Right. So red flags.
That's all right. Any other members? Nope, we got them covered. Good. Speak life. You're going hot in the chat. Let's see what you're doing. After 3 years of friendship, he left our first disagreement without even a conversation. That's not good. Says he's entitled to his peace. So you had one disagreement. I'm curious what it was about. He trained in relationship coaching.
Most coaches don't know what they're doing.
No, most coaches, unfortunately, are a disaster.
Yeah. It's like most psychologists are a disaster.
Most therapists, most people that go into helping are there because their life was an utter disaster. And now they want to help people, but they don't do the work to fix themselves first. Right. My friend also left during my weakness and perimenopause, explained all I could, thought he understood, said since he didn't want to stop communicating, ended up upset when I poured my heart out. Gotcha. I mean, it sounds like either you guys got on a really hard topic that did something extreme in his eyes, or something severe happened, or he was in it for the good feelings. Sometimes that'll happen. People will farm you for good feelings, and when it's no longer convenient, they're out. We call them fair weather friends. That can happen quite a bit. Speak life. I've watched so many of your videos. You have me cracking up with dry humor. I love the seashells as currency. I got that. Adam, I would love to talk to you about him. He has a similar background with yours. And I hear that. And I own that. I had a very disruptive background myself.
Send us an email, support@adamlanesmith.com, and we'll have somebody talk to you ASAP.
Yeah.
Because that's something that you definitely do want to start resolving. And guys, honestly, if you have questions, support@adamlanesmith.com. So we have our trained client success managers on standby to help people out. So use it, and it's there.
100%. Support@adamlanesmith.com. Please reach out. Let's talk. Yeah, no, and that's the difference. I had a disrupted childhood myself, and I was thinking about it this morning, like the extensive work I did before I even would allow myself into the field. I swore up and down I would never be one of those wounded healers who screws things up. In therapy world, it's called countertransference. When you transfer your emotions onto your clients and screw them up worse, you're just a walking time bomb. I had to do extensive work on myself before I'd allow myself into the field.
Take a look at
and I continue to do that work.
Avoidant woman. Welcome. I'm easily angered by my boyfriend when he tries to relate to many things I say. Oh, I don't care if he can relate or not. I feel like he's being passive about what I say. Turns the convo to him.
Yes. Oh, I felt that before. Here's what I did. Oh, I felt that too. Here's my life story. A lot of people with attachment issues will do that, and it's called commiserating. But it's the expectation is both of you are going to go back and forth talking about how awful things have been, your shared traumas, and then you're bonding over the trauma. Now you're bonding through your miserable life. This is a very specific bonding pattern that some of the most injured people do. Not evil people, but injured people. And it's what you're sensing. It also does, yes, yank the attention back onto him. His expectation is probably that you're going to yank the attention back on yourself, and that you'll both do it back and forth, commiserating. You're not interested in that. And in fact, most people are not interested in that. Instead, and he's trying to bond with you. Instead, hey, you know what? During these discussions, it really bothers me when you try to relate to me in that way, and it feels like it's just shifting off of me. What it actually like is X. And here's the thing, everybody out there. If you are in a relationship, you need to be able to just say, hey, look, what I actually need during this time is this. And your partner should care about you enough. The term is give a rat's ass. They should give a rat's ass enough for you that they put their ego aside and say, that's what you need during that time. Cool. I'll do that. Not, well, here's what I prefer during those conversations. And so why don't I get my way? No, if you're sharing something and having a difficulty, they should care enough and say, understood. During that time, you need that. Hey, during this time, I also need this. And you take care of each other back and forth like that. That is how a relationship is supposed to work.
Yeah. And also don't get upset if somebody's starting off with something that you don't quite like. If you tell them, then they can adjust. But at least they're trying to do something as opposed to just shutting down. So it's more of an invitation to improve than a reason or a source of criticism. So if we can maybe even start with a perspective of like, oh, hey, what are you can start with a great question. What are you trying to do right now? Just pause for a sec. So you just said this. Why are you saying that? What are you trying to get to? And then maybe you can say, oh, I'm just trying to make you feel better. Go, well, actually, what would make me feel better would be X, Y, and Z, because this is what actually I'm looking for. And you can go, oh, okay, I didn't know. Great, let me try that. And you go, actually, these are the words I need you to use. These are the actions I need you to take, right? And that is going to help you guys turn this into something as a growth experience. Let's see. Pick one.
Pick one, Edith. Members get support. He's 37, looks older. I'm 53 and look younger. If you see us, you would not tell the age difference at all. We have common friends that all have age differences by 8 years, him being younger. So all of your friends are older women, younger men as well. Again, I have seen groups like this and friend groups like this. I understand what you're talking about. No judgment. Understandably, just talk, have those conversations. But a 16-year age gap, and especially if he's 37 and still saying, well, I don't know what I want. Sex ruins friendships. It sounds like he may not even know what he wants in life at this point. And he's 37. He really should have that figured out by now, or get it figured out very quickly. Does he know what else he wants in life, or is he just drifting, having fun?
Yep.
That'd be the question I would ask.
Okay. D Joy, hello again. My fella seemed to go off sex after I tried to chat with him about Aftercare. We had great sex life, but he was interested. He insisted that he wanted to stay in his own bubble. Happy to cuddle, but in silence.
So no talking, no aftercare, no eye contact. No. Interesting.
Have you ever asked him why? Just be like, okay, but why? Like, so this question, but why? And like, which isn't like, but why are you doing this to me?
Yeah.
You're like, but why are you like this? I'm very curious.
Yeah.
Teach me about yourself is a great conversation starter. Why do you feel like this after sex? Maybe there's, some big emotional oxytocin bonding. You say, okay, and then, could you try this as a great next step? You say, well, I'm so flooded with emotions. Okay, well, if you don't want to talk, can you at least, I don't know, stroke my leg or something, or like brush my hair or show something, like one of those signs of life, right? Hello, is there anybody in there type of thing? Are you alive?
Mm-hmm.
Give me something. And if you use the kind of least give me something line, that might help. And then over time, you guys will build. There's nothing more permanent than the temporary. And if he goes, well, I'm just going to bask in this for now, and the next time I'm going to learn how to do something, that's going to last for years.
Yeah.
But if you could say, hey, well, can you at least try something today or tomorrow or the next time we do this? And I'll remind you, that's going to help a lot.
Yep. Agreed. The but why is great. There's two different but whys. One is I refuse to accept this and demand understanding. And the other is I just really want to understand and have a conversation with you. If he's incapable of distinguishing the two and refuses to have a conversation at all, it's going to be very hard to have any kind of real relationship with him, because now you're not allowed to ask questions or understand, and you're actually barred from understanding him because understanding itself has become a threat. So
yeah,
be wary of that. Andrey, we could probably take one more question before
let's do two, because there's one I think that's really interesting, and I just want to address Sabrina's question first.
Cool. Hi, Sabrina.
When I started to talk to my avoidant man about how we can fix things between us, and I talked about biochemical of his brain, he was open at the beginning, and after he gets distance for 2 days now. Distance isn't bad. Distance is what? Distance can be processing. Distance could be thinking. Distance can be researching. Distance can be a life circumstance. Again, ask why.
Yeah.
Hey, you've been distant. We've had this conversation. Tell me, what is happening? I'm not judging you. I'm not attacking you. I'm not telling you to do anything wrong, but I would like to know. Just call out behaviors. It goes a long way.
And sometimes what you're talking about right there, it sounds like the rubber band effect. With an avoidant person, they open up at first and it stretches the rubber band, and then eventually snap, it goes back because they feel like, whoa, I overextended, I shared too much, I opened up too much, now I'm self-conscious about it, I've only now realized how open I was, and now maybe there's risks and threats, so he backs off. He wants to see if you're going to chase, he wants to see if you're going to use it against him. The more that you kind of just calmly talk him through that and ask him, how much space do you need? The more that you can handle it calmly, the more that he realizes that he doesn't need the space to get safe. And in fact, he doesn't need to react that way. And then that can lead straight into another open connection between you two. The rubber band effect can be scary and painful, but
it's a question of, like time. It honestly depends on the circumstance. What happened to them? For some people, they need 6 hours. For other people, they might need 2 days. For other people, they might need a week. It's just a question of learning what your partner is like and recognizing the patterns and knowing when those patterns improve. Now, I want to talk to Brian for a sec, because this is an interesting one. I think a lot of people will want to hear. So I'm an avoidant in past relationships as well as current. I'm in a semi-relationship with a woman 14 years younger. I use hurtful words to push her away. So first of all, respect for sharing and being honest, because clearly at least you're aware of the issue. And I think a lot of women in the audience actually have experienced people like you, men like you, and are probably very mad, but also very confused. So I guess the question here, Brian, is why? I'm guessing that's what you're trying to ask, is why am I like this, or what I do with this? Well, what advice would you give Adam?
Most avoidant men are not using hurtful words to drive someone away, typically, unless they're experiencing a feeling of instability on the inside and fear of bonding. That can come about from having that a little anxious core that you don't know about or haven't really owned yet. So you can be more disorganized, avoidant on the outside, but once you start bonding, anxious on the inside, that you hide from yourself, you black box it, you cover it over with dirt, and you really focus on the avoidant piece, so that whenever it unconsciously sparks that bonding, then you use tools to sabotage the relationship and drive the person away. That can happen. There is a more manipulative approach for avoidant attachment style. Doesn't mean you're a manipulator, but a more manipulative approach, which says other people are not just confused or stressed, but other people are actually bad. And I can't let people in because they are malicious. And so the assumption is that people are malicious, so you will use more hurtful words to drive people back when they get close. And it's not anxious attachment based or inferiority feeling based. It's more based that other people are bad. Either way, what needs to be resolved is the anxious feeling on the underside of the disorganized style that says, if I ever get connected, I will get abandoned. Resolve that. And then the avoidant usually resolves on its own because it was reactive. Or if you're manipulative, learning to understand which people are trustworthy and then recalibrating around some healthy people who are worthy of that love and care. And you're asking, how do I become better at not avoiding hard talks with my partner? That's really it. Really determine what you're looking for, and then determine which of those two pieces are holding you back. Either an innate disgust with humanity kind of thing, where she's fallen into that and you unfairly categorize her as bad, or you have an anxious core on the inside that is making you feel like if you open up, you'll be seen and abandoned. One or the other.
And also just learn your triggers, right? If you get angry, why did you get angry? What was said? What was done? Learn with them, observe, work with them in advance, and say, hey, so just so you know, it really upsets me if you say this. So I would love to talk to you about this. I can't have a conversation if it goes like this. I would like to have this conversation. Would you like to have this conversation? If so, can you help me out? Because this is how it has to go. So you don't have to be perfect. You just have to try and commit to trying to succeed, honestly. So Learn your triggers, figure out why you get mad, find a way to not get mad if it's something you can do, something that she can do, and just start on progress. That's really ultimately it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everybody for being here with us and for us during this 4-part series.
Also, we extended the sale by one last day because everybody keeps asking us and people are missing us. So attachment repair program is still on sale. One last day. I think this is the last day that Lucas is collecting
like 12
inputs.
hours.
Yeah. So I think whoever just wrote, I think somebody said that they sent us an email. If you could please resend it. We haven't not had a chance to reply yet. There's just a little bit of a backlog of people getting in.
So many.
Yeah, and we do want to get you an ASAP. So your spot is not going to get lost. Please take the advantage now. I think you can save up to $4,000 right now on the attachment repair program.
Yeah, we slashed it.
So it's a lot of savings. If you're stuck, this is the time to get in. It's not going to get lower. Plus the courses are still at 60% off. This is the last day. We're going to take it off tomorrow. That's it.
Yeah,
so
no more.
Get in while you can, guys. We'd love to help you. And if not, again, check out Adam's new website. We actually just released it about 2 weeks ago. There's a ton of resources on there. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Sign up for the newsletter. So many resources are coming out. 2025 is going to be the year of attachment for us. I want to give back a lot to the community, to you guys, to the viewers in so many ways. So keep an eye, and we're also going to start doing some giveaways in December, and we're going to do all these additional programs to help you guys with attachment. And last thing, if you want us to keep doing these live streams together with Adam, let us know, and maybe we can do something once a month. Maybe we can do something inside the repair community or the group coaching. The group coaching is also on sale, 60% off, I believe, 50% off. So if you guys want more, let us know. We'll be here.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you again real soon.
Take care.